Hello, and welcome to another Ask Us Anything Live with me, Kate R. and Intrepid English. I must apologize, it's really dark here because it is, in fact, snowing. So it's a bit crazy. So yeah, we have crazy lighting here today. Now, every Friday I go live and I talk about a grammar point, vocabulary point, or even a pronunciation point. Sometimes it's a question from one of my students, and sometimes it's a question that I have thought of during the week. Today, it's a question from one of my amazing Italian students, and she wanted to know what is the difference between these words in the singular and the plural? So it's impact versus impacts, and it's material versus materials, and it's cost versus costs. Okay, so let's look at impact versus impacts. So impact, and we're talking about the noun here. Impact as a noun is more commonly seen as singular when you're talking about the whole effect, the effect as a whole. So talking about a car crash, no one, certainly with all this snow, I'm sure there will be, unfortunately, many car crashes on the news, and they will say no one could have survived such an impact when two cars hit each other. The warnings have been heard so often about the snow, the dangers of driving in the snow, that they have lost their impact. So many people don't pay attention anymore. And then I can say also that book, I was talking about it with this student, that this book had a huge impact on me when it first came out. Now we can use the plural impacts when talking about plural effects, but it is rare. So, for example, the study shows that many different environmental impacts this project would have on the region. So this study is showing many different environmental impacts. So it's more than one impact. It's not as a whole, it's lots of different impacts that it will have, that the project, this construction project, will have on the region. Now, impact with an S can also be third person singular. So that kind of talk, for example, impacts many people, or that kind of behavior impacts many people. Now, if we look at material versus materials, so they are both plural. You can use both. Now, this is what's interesting about English. You can use both when talking about the plural of material. So material is a singular noun, but we can say materials or material, and they can both act as plural. Now, the difference is that materials are tangible objects, something that you can touch, like cleaning materials, writing materials, painting materials. You have lots of different tools or materials. Whereas when we talk about material plural, that's when we're talking about the uncountable noun material, which can either be, so the uncountable noun is not plural, so it's like a piece of material. Okay, so it doesn't have plural. But when you're talking about the countable noun material and it's plural, it's because you're talking about an idea or a concept or a creative project. So the raw material of the book came from first-hand witness accounts. So the raw material, what they used, the different testimonials from different people, that's the raw material, that's the real material that they used to then create the book. Then we've got cost versus costs. So again, when we're talking about the noun, not the verb, because obviously costs is third person singular when we have the S, when you're using it as a verb. So for example, his art projects always, or no, everything costs so much more in the UK now after Brexit. Okay, so it's costs. Now, if we go to the noun, and we want to know the difference between when do we use the singular noun cost and when do we use the plural noun costs? So cost as a noun, singular, so when the cost of the project is too high. So we're talking about the total sum of the project. That's what the cost means. But plural costs is again referring to many different expenses or charges. So, for example, the costs of running a business have increased. You've got to pay lots of different accounts, lots of different expenses, there are lots of different bills that you have to pay. Those are the costs. So, cost is talking about the sum total, and costs is more the charges, the expenses, the bills that you have to pay. So I hope that was a little bit interesting. It was a really interesting question for my student because it's not something I often think of. When do you use which one, which noun? And so I hope those examples have helped you, and I hope you will join me next week for another Ask Us Anything. And I'm going to talk about a grammar point. It'll be really interesting for you all. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you again next Friday. Bye now.